Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moltrap here, coming at you with another StarCraft 2 commentary. And this is a game between a couple top quote-unquote foreigners. A game between TTOne, is going to be the yellow Protoss here, and KiWiKaKi, a blue Protoss over here. And if you haven't seen Diggity's recent game of KiWiKaKi versus Hydra, go and check that out. That was a really cool game to watch. Here they are chatting in French, I believe, down here, which I only know a tiny bit of. Anyway, I haven't done a mirror matchup yet, I don't think, so I thought I'd do a little quick mirror matchup here, even though it's sometimes a little bit more exciting to see, Marauders facing Roaches, or Ultralisks trying to battle Immortals, or something like that. Those can be very cool. Sometimes PvP can be fun as well. Could just be a macro match. Could be. That happens a lot with mirror matchups. They just end up being these big macro fests. But hopefully not. In StarCraft 1, it would often end up just being, who can get the most goons the fastest and get a couple Reavers alongside, and that would pretty much be it. But there's a little bit more options in StarCraft 2, and we're gonna have to see what kind of things they do decide to go with. Pretty much normal stuff here. We got KiWiKaKi going for his simulator a tiny bit earlier. Again, not really significant. And he's actually scouting a little bit earlier as well as they're chatting down here. They're talking about what teams they're on, I believe. I haven't been paying too much attention to it because I've been so entranced by these probes. Oh my gosh, so much fun to watch the probes going. Anyway, KiWiKaKi's going to get his probe in there and start scouting early on. Both of them using up their chrono boost on their on their nexus, trying to get as many probes out as possible. And you can look at this. You can get almost 16 probes very quickly with doing that chrono boost, and you can get out a lot of economy very quickly that way. Be very effective. Just gateways and cores, pretty much standard sort of thing. Now in StarCraft 1, you would see a lot of mostly Reaver tech, and you would see Reavers and shuttles, and sometimes you would see someone try and quickly tech to Templar. You try and go for DTs perhaps, or just try and go for quick High Templar, since the High Templar would be pretty effective units in big battles. In StarCraft 2, it doesn't quite work that way. DT rushes very rarely work because it's almost always robotics tech on this. In StarCraft 2 and PvP has been my experience, at least. We've got warp gates researching for both players, by the way. Again, about the same place here. We do have only one gateway though for KiWiKaKi. I'm not sure if he's saving up for an expansion. There's the robo, so he's going one gate robo, whereas over here we have TT1 just going for 3 gateways just for massive warp gates. And I apologize for the issues with a little bit of FPS issues here. I've got the resolution turned down and the FPS a little bit, so it usually doesn't go all wonky like this when the settings are like this, so I apologize. If it doesn't clear up soon, I'll try and fix it. Anyway, so he's going for a very quick robotics facility off this one gateway. You can still get a significant amount of units out of one gateway if you're chrono boosting, which I believe he was earlier, chrono boosting a couple of units out there, and going for some high-tech units here, going for the sentries. He's got a couple sentries out, whereas it looks like, yeah, he's just going with, TT1's just going with primarily stalkers here at this point. And he put down those gateways earlier, so he spent the money on the gateways instead of the units, actually. So, he actually doesn't have a ton of units with which to kind of pressure here, and a second sentry is going to be out here. It's good to get those sentries early on so that they can build up mana, because later on, if those sentries, if you get them right before battle, they've got one force field in them, or, if maybe one guardian shield after a moment. I forgot how much they spawn with. Yeah, they don't spawn with quite enough for the guardian shield. Anyway, what's he going with the robotics facility here? Did he already make something? No, he didn't. Anyway, here he comes in for an attack. I'm sorry I didn't see this going on. And there, a nice force field on the ramp is going to force 3 of those sentries to be separated from, stalkers to be separated from the others. probably would have been a little bit better off with just separating two, because now he's in a little bit of trouble. One of his sentries is very badly damaged. He runs in, picks off that sentry, and the warp gates warping in a couple stalkers just in time. He's going to have to pick that off, and now these two stalkers here are going to get cut in half again. Oh, he needs to target the damaged stalker. Oh, KiWiKaKi's stalker lives because TTOne was focusing on something else, I suppose, and just was not paying attention to that, and try to put on a little bit of pressure with just some extra stuff here. Now here's we got an immortal coming out here, and you can see how having an extra force field in the bank when those units came in, we would have liked to have a couple more units, I think, than those force fields, but it still worked out okay that he could put force fields continuously on that ramp throughout the whole battle because he had so much energy in there from that first sentry that came out earlier. But critically, and I showed this earlier, I haven't mentioned it, TTOne has gotten this expansion up during that battle, so he is in really, really good shape. It looks like KiWiKaKi's observer is right above it, so he sees that's going on. He's going to expand as well, and he has this immortal out as well, which is going to do very, very well. Immortals are kind of like, they're good against the stalkers, basically. They're not quite as good against zealots, but they're good against stalkers, so if your opponent's going mass stalker, like this, then they can be handy to have around. Now, like I was kind of talking about earlier, how there's different kinds of tech, and there we go. He's got the robotics support bay out now as well, and is he? Yes, he's just about to start the thermal lances. So he's going to go for the robotics support bay tech with the Colossi, and they're going to be not quite as effective against the stalkers. Still somewhat effective. Basically, Colossi are just absolutely own zealots. The zealots run up and engage the front of your army, and one or two colossi even in the back, and preferably more like 3 or 4, depending on how many zealots they have, can just roast the entire line of zealots very, very quickly, and do lots of damage. I like how KiWiKaKi has his observer. Well, never mind. I thought he had it tagged onto his army, but he's just setting it down there to follow. Oh no, he's got him. Okay. Never mind, it's not trapped anymore. Anyway, here he comes in putting his own expansion up. He's got a lot of zealots because he's been spending so much gas on the thermal lance and the Colossus. Thermal lance is 200 gas. The Colossus is 200 gas. He's got another one on the way. And here he comes in for an attack here. This could be bad. If he picks off that Colossus, the Immortal is in play as well. So again, it's basically just macro versus tech battle here going on. TTOne with 5 warp gates, putting out a lot of units. He's got this pylon over here. I'm not sure why he's not warping in units there to try and get his units rallied with his army a little bit faster. Perhaps he's not going to go for an attack after all. But you can see how, because he has so much gas, he's got more zealots in there, whereas TT1 has primarily stalkers, a few zealots. And I wonder if he's getting any tech for that. No, it looks like just more Colossi. Wow, so he's going to really, really just devote to these Colossi. It makes sense that he's devoting to more Colossi since he did get that Thermal Lance upgrade. And he's just going to have a lot of firepower from behind. Now, it's going to be really, really not that good if he can... do we have a Citadel anywhere? No. Robotics Bay finally going up. He's getting a... Ooh... Getting a warp prism out. Very interesting. So we're going to see a drop here from TT1 probably. He can run that around behind, and those can be very, very dangerous. You can put them into what is it, warp mode, and warp in a couple zealots here, run over here, warp in some zealots here, or stalkers, whatever you want to. Can be very mobile, and basically can be very effective at just causing distraction, especially if it forces him to fall back his army here. And he's producing, let's see, what is this? Another Colossi. Wow, 4. He's going to go for 4 Colossi now. That's going to be a lot. And that is just basically going to nullify any zealots that he has. They're going to be very effective against these stalkers as well, because if the stalkers, with the Thermal Lance upgrade, they can stand back at a range of 9. Oh my god, 9 range. And stay far away from the 6 range stalkers. And still attack them pretty effectively. The stalkers, if they have blink, can blink closer and pick off the Colossi a little bit easier, but he doesn't have blink. He doesn't even have a Citadel. He's going for Robotech as well.